Good afternoon. This is Debbie Broughton, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from St. Robert, Missouri. I know I'm about 15 minutes late, but at 5:55 when I was trying to set up my camera to start at 6 o'clock, Herbie, my dog, came in to remind me that he eats at 5:30 and it was past supper time and he was starving. And I knew that he would continue to bark for the video. So I'm late. I took the time. I got his supper, let him out, let him in, and now I think we're ready for a quiet evening. If you're joining me this evening, please leave a comment. I'd love to see who's watching. I'm Debbie Broughton, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from South Central Missouri. Actually, I live in St. Robert, which is right outside Fort Leonard Wood, the Army base. And I know that I'm kind of late, but my dog insisted on eating at 5:55 because his dinner time is really 5:30. And I was busy trying to set up for the video and I forgot. So he would have just been barking and whining for the whole video if I didn't go and see what was wrong. But now he's had his dinner, we're all set up, and I'm just waiting like one more minute and it'll be 6:15 or 7:15 if you're in the Eastern time zone. Okay, now my laptop says 6:15, so I'm going to get started. Again, if you're joining me, thank you so much. I'm Debbie Broughton, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from South Central Missouri. I'm so glad you could join me this evening, even though I am 15 minutes late because of the dog. But he's all settled now. He's had his supper. He's been out. He's just laying behind me, so we should have a good, quiet video. Today is my Thursday A to Z techniques, and we're on the letter C for chalkboard and crayon resist. I just had so much fun with the chalkboard one that I decided to use this new set. You see, I know I had it sitting out here somewhere, but I probably, in my rush to get things cleaned up, I don't know exactly where I set it, but this is the new set paper tags. And I decided that the chalkboard technique is a great way to make some tags, especially with this new stamp set. I meant to leave it out so that I could show you, but then I was gathering things up and I think I accidentally put it away. Yes, I don't see it sitting here with my other multitude of stamp sets that are out, but if I find it before the video's over, I will show it to you. But these are some of the sayings from it. So we'll get started. We're going to start with the crayon resist. So I'm going to set all these aside, and we will get to these in just a few minutes. So I've already stamped this and cut it out. This is from the Enduring Beauty set, which I do have right here. It's this big flower here. And I wanted to stamp it early because you have to let the Memento ink dry a little bit before you try using your white crayon. Otherwise, it kind of smears and gets on your crayon. So I stamped it way ahead of time. So I'm just going to color in some flowers here. I kind of started on this one, so I'll finish I did this one, and I started on this one, so I finished, and I'm just going around the outside edge. You could put a highlight wherever you like. Some people put them along these lines. Some people put them around the middle, which I kind of did too on my first one. So you just want to get your crayon, you know, any white crayon will work. I'm using Crayola. They do have to be a waxy crayon, which I'm pretty sure all crayons are waxy. And you just want to put kind of a good layer where you want it to stay white. So, let me just see something here. You can kind of feel it when you're feeling it. I don't think I did this flower. I got my nails done this afternoon, and I was there for like 2.5 hours. It was so crowded because today's been our first nice sunny day in a while, and I guess everybody decided they wanted pedicures and manicures today, so it was very crowded. So then I took the Gorgeous Grape ink, and I have my, you could use your blending brushes if you like, but I like using my daubers a little bit better because I can fit into the little spaces. I'm not sure I could stay right in the flower if I use the blending brush. So I'm just going to kind of go on here and put some Gorgeous Grape here in this flower. Now, I think I did all these flowers. I may not have. We shall see as I'm doing them. If I didn't, then for sure they're going to be all purple with no highlights. The first time I did this one, I did it in Bubble Bath, but it was such a light color that the white didn't really show up as much as I like. So then I switched to Gorgeous Grape. I got this one really dark. Okay, let's see about this one. Okay, so I got the biggest flowers finished. Now what you could do is if you have, I just have this towel here in my stamping room that I used to do different things with. So I'm just going to take it and I'm going to wipe this off. And it will take the Gorgeous Grape off wherever the white crayon is. So can you kind of see how I did the highlights on these? I might have done the highlights a little bit too. But you know, not every flower is the same, so. And this one, I kind of went squiggly on that one, didn't I? So that's basically how you do it, though. And then if you wanted to, we'll do some leaves. The leaves I did, I kind of just went along the black lines that are already there. They didn't show up again because I used soft seafoam. So this time I'm going to use a darker green. Just because I think it has a better contrast. Again, if you're watching and you'd like to comment, that would be great. Okay, so let's see what color I have out over here. I have a lot of my colors out. Let's try Old Olive. I've had my Old Olive pad for a very long time, so it is kind of messy on the inside. And then this is how I keep my sponge daubers. I have one for every color. And then I have this little chart that tells me which one is which. So I want Old Olive, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 over. Third one down. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one right here. This just helps me to keep them separated. And then I don't have to clean them or anything. I just have one for every color. So let's see how this is going to look up here on these leaves. I'm not really sure if I pressed hard enough with my crayon, but we shall see. I have my handy dandy towel here. Oh, I put purple. I wanted to get the top of that leaf and I put down Gorgeous Grape. Okay, so let's wipe these a little bit. So, maybe I think I better stick to just doing the tips of them, because that didn't really quite work out too well. But it is nice. So if I just did the tips, let's try this leaf here. I'll just do the tip. Let's see if we like that better. You can kind of bounce off on your mat or on a piece of scrap paper so you don't get it as dark as if you used it full strength. So let me get my towel here. Wipe it off a little. Oh, that doesn't look as bad. So, the hard part is that sometimes you can't see. And since I started and stopped several times on this example, I got a little bit more on the tips of this flower than I would have liked. This one is a little bit more subtle with the highlights. But it's just whatever you like. And these will make very pretty cards. I'm going to make them into cards. Just since my nail appointment took an hour longer than I thought it was going to, it kind of put me behind all day. So what I'm going to do now is get a baby wipe, because I still have a lot of baby wipes left for my baby wipe demonstration for the letter B. So that's what I'm using for my glass mat right now. I just wanted to be sure I got this purple and the old olive up so I didn't get my hand in it, because I'm famous for doing that. Okay, we'll put these two up, put them away later. So that's crayon resistant. You could do it. I saw a really pretty, but it would be for winters, like they used one of the tree that just has the branches, and then they used the crayon above it, just like a little bit above each branch, and then in the background in a blue, and then it looked like there was snow on the branches, or pine cones. It works great to put some snow on pine cones. So now let's get started with the chalkboard effect. This one was a lot of fun to play with. So I'm just going to, we'll start with these two. We have a lot of different ones here. We're going to start out with these two. These two use the Zinnia's embossing folder. This one, you need something with a lot of design on it. So for this one, I inked up this side of the embossing folder. For this one, I inked up this side just to see the difference. So this goes on the side with the Stampin' Up. This goes on the side with the other little symbol here, Made in China. So this is how you would ink up your embossing folder. Now, if you were using just regular ink, it goes on really smooth if you just take it and go like this. But since this basic white is a pigment ink, it's a little bit stickier and thicker, so you kind of have to pounce it on. So I'm going to pounce them on this side. And I'm going to look and see that it looks like, can you tell there that I have white ink on there? Maybe just a little bit more up here. And then I'm going to take one of my pieces of paper that I have cut over here. Here we go. And I'm going to lay it down here. I know that it's too long for the embossing folder. I was just cut a piece of paper. And then on this side, we're going to put it more up here. Let's see. We're going to put it here to get this. We're going to see if this works doing both of them at the same time. I did not do both of them at the same time when I was making this. I did them separate. But I thought maybe we could save some time here if I did them both. So we shall just see what happens. We're going to put this one on this side. I'm going to run them over to my embossing machine. Oh, I got it a little bit too close to the fold. It didn't want to fold down right. There we go. Okay, fingers crossed that this works. where's my pad for the 3D embossing folders underneath my ink pads I have out over here. Okay, let's see what we have. So we have that one. Oh, got my hand in the ink pad. And this one, we have a little bit on the back. But this one came out much darker than it did the first time. The first time I kind of just rubbed it on. This time as you saw, I pounced it on. So it got it to be much a darker white, which I like much better. So now you could use these in your, in making your next card. I need another baby wipe now to wipe out this embossing folder. I really could go run it underneath the sink, but I just want to get some of it off because it really gets down into the grooves. Now, one thing about pigment ink is that it dries slow, so if you wanted to, you could emboss these also, because it stays wet long enough for you to do that. And while I was over there at the stamp emboss machine, found my stamp set. Paper tags. It's just a whole bunch of different sayings, and then it has different dies to cut them out. So, here we go. This is the Stamp It Up side. This is the Made in China side. And this way, I like it much better. This one, I didn't get enough ink in there, and I didn't realize that till after I did this one, and now it looks so much nicer. So, these, you can make this as big as your card front. You could use as a strip on the side of a card. We will put these over here, and I will see what I could do with them. So the next thing we're going to do, let's see. What do we have here? We have this piece, which I thought I would do. Let me find the saying. Here's the saying. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful day to celebrate you. So, but I want to cut it out with, let me find it. There's a bigger die that when I stamped all these on the same piece of paper, so I didn't have enough room to cut that one out the way I wanted to. Sometimes best laid plans. Do you ever do that? You have something, and I got that die out, I measured it. I was for sure I had a big enough piece of paper for it. And then I laid it down somewhere, and now I can't find it to cut out. Here it is, underneath my stamps. Oh. Let's see if this is big enough. Well, I might need a little bit bigger of a piece. We'll take this piece. Because for sure we'll have enough room on this piece to cut it out. So I'm going to stamp this in white. I have all my stamps out here. I'm going to leave my die on there so I can kind of tell where on this, so I don't get too high up or too far down or too close to the side to cut it out. Again, you just have to kind of pat, tap and tap on the white ink pad, and I want to get this in the middle. I might have got a little bit too close to the one side, but I can always change my die. Okay, so now, see this word celebrate? What I did is I took Melon Mambo, And I took another sponge dauber. And since the white takes a while to dry, this is still wet, so I can change its color to a light berry burst. Isn't that a great idea? You know, you could do it with whatever words you want it to on here. So, I'm going to wait and take all these to cut out at one time so I don't have to keep getting up and down. Another one that I did is this one right here. And that takes a piece of white paper and the Memento ink and a big stamp. So see how this one's all filled in the background, so it kind of automatically makes a chalkboard effect if you use the Memento. So I'm just gonna get it all inked up this way. When it's a stamp like this, I like to do it upside down like this so I can see. Well, I guess we'll have to put it on this side. I'll hold on to my stamp head. It's hard getting used to nails again. Okay. Fingers crossed. Oh, I see a spot kind of in the middle that's not covered. Let me look at it now. It still doesn't want to cover. Wonder if there's something on there. There, I got it now. It was just like this little round circle. All right, we're going to see if this works. Now we want to kind of put a lot of pressure because it's a big stamp and it's solid. So I'm just going to let it sit there for a few seconds to absorb into the paper really good. That turned out very nice. Now we're going to give this a second to dry. And then can you see how on this one I took my Stampin' Blends, the Dark Daffodil Delight, and colored in Sunshine. You could color in whatever words you wanted, but I just colored in the sunshine in the daffodil. Have a little bit of Memento on here. I want to get that off. Okay, so let's see what else we could do with this chalkboard effect. So we're going to cut this one out. I have the dies for this one over by the die cutting machine. So now this is just going to be the white on the black. So I have this piece here. I can get it. And I can do all three of these on this piece, I'm pretty sure. Yes. So we're going to do this one in the middle because this is going to go this way. So I'm going to take the Just For You stamp, which, you know, I'll show you what happened with the stamp why it doesn't have a label on it. Because on my rubber stamps, I was tired of always trying to fit everything into that piece of rubber that's left. So I took it out and I changed it to be like this. And then I put this piece in here. Somehow my label must not have been on the right side or something, but it is permanently stuck to the paper now. I can't get it off to put it back on to the stamp, but none of the other ones did that. So I don't know why that one did, but it did. So now I just have to guess. It says, Just For You. And be sure that I have it right side up. Look at it and see I got a little bit of smear up here at the top, so I don't want that. And I'm just going to stamp it right here. Just For You. Now again, if you wanted to, you could take your ink on a dauber and color it in, and it'll be a light color. You don't have to have it white. It'll look like a pastel chalk on the blackboard. But for right now, we're just going to let that be white. Now this one, I stamped it white, and I used clear embossing powder. Now usually when I use embossing powder, I use my tray. But since I'm going to be using two different kinds this afternoon, I am just going to use a piece of paper to catch the extra, because I won't have time to clean out my tray from the white or the clear. So I'm just going to do it on this envelope here. So this one I have, consider this a paper hug, because I forgot to do one of those. So we're going to do that this way, and we're going to take the white ink and we're going to stamp it over here. And we're going to take some clear embossing powder just to make it have a shinier look. So this is the clear. Just going to lay it here on this envelope. It has an M up there for mine, because sometimes when I'm making cards for my card class, I make a mistake on one or something, and so I make it be mine. And so I put an M on the envelope so I remember not to send it to anybody. It's just sometimes I might cut a leaf off a little bit too much or something, so I can fix that on my own card, but I don't want to send that to anybody. So now I have this covered with clear embossing powder. Let me see. Yep. So I'm going to have my heat gun, and I put it over here by me this time so I don't have to leave, but it's going to be loud just for a minute. Okay, there we go. Now, it doesn't look quite as bright as it does when you use white embossing powder, but it still gives you a blackboard chalk effect. I keep working too low on my plate, on my glass mat. So now we have one more to show you. That is using Versamark and using our new Wow Opaque Bright White embossing powder, and it works really good. Look how bright that is. So we have some Versamark here. Got a little bit of pink in it from something. So I'm just going to ink it up with Versamark. I'm going to use my embossing buddy since I forgot to use it last time. And it doesn't really matter too much because I'm cutting this out as a tag, but just in case I have some static. So I'm going to put this on here. Can't see it yet, but you should be able to see it after I get the bright embossing powder on there. I missed a little bit of the D. I don't have enough on the E, I don't think. And I must have had, I forgot to look at my stamp to see if I have Versamark on the edge of it, and I must have. That's how we got that, but we'll get it off there. Let me put this away before I spill it. I know I got that one a little crooked, but I'll be able to fix that when I put the die around it. Okay, it's going to be loud for a moment. Okay, now I wanted to show you something you could do for, you could do it either on this one or this one, maybe even this one, to make it look more like a used chalkboard than a, you know, so bright black. Because sometimes on a chalkboard it kind of still has a white film in the background. So what you could do is you could take your white sponge dauber and your white ink, even if it's not embossed, and you could get some on there, but you want to take a lot of it off because you want it to be very light. So we're just going to look here. I have this piece of scrap paper. I just want to kind of get it, see how light that is? And then I'm just going to kind of rub it across here. And it's just going to make it, the background look a little bit more like an older chalkboard. I don't know if you could really see the difference. Well, you can right there because I forgot to dab off. So can you see how it's just a little bit more like it's got, still has some chalk dust on there. So that's another technique you could do. And so now I would take these over to the Stamp Emboss machine, and I have the dies, and they would all cut out, and now I'm just set with all these different tags. I will show you how I did this one now. I wanted to wait to be sure that my Memento ink dried before I tried coloring that in. Let's try doing it. We'll do the laughter this time with light Bermuda Bay, which is retired, but I had Bermuda Bay out for something else. Because, of course, I already put away my Daffodil Light. So let's do, in Bermuda Bay, Your Day. I'm using the small tip so I can get right, although it doesn't matter if I go out of the lines, you're not going to see it on top of the black. You could go through and do all these words a different color if you wanted to. It just adds a little bit to them. It'll look like you used a pastel piece of chalk rather than a white one. So there you go. You could do that. Actually, you could go around and do the swirls a different color. Whatever you would like to do. So I hope you enjoyed my technique class, just giving you some different ideas of what you could do. I'm trying to see if I have some different colors laying here. I have soft seafoam, but I don't think it's going to show up enough. But this is good. You can still see the Bermuda Bay there. So here we go with tags for cards. And you can also do flowers, anything with the white ink. I really like, I think my favorite one, well, this one's going to be cut out as a tag now like this. I think my favorite one might be this one, the one with the white embossing powder with the white, with the Versamark, because it really stands out a lot more. But these would make a good subtle background or a tag. And then again, remember we had these. This is the Stampin' Up side of the embossing folder. And this is the Made in China side of the folder. Two different, this looks more like a chalkboard. This looks like a chalkboard reverse. But it filled in all those little lines to make those flowers that I have upside down. There you go. Well, thank you so much for joining me. If you happen to use some of these techniques in your card making, please post me a picture in the comments. I love to see what other people are doing with them. And I hope you have a great, wonderful evening. Happy stamping. Bye.